Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm going to talk with you today about a video called Abandonment Reenactments. It's Déjà Vu all over again. I love that phrase, déjà vu. Of course, French for the feeling that you have already experienced something that actually is happening for the first time. And it also, a secondary meaning is something that has happened many times before, something that is very familiar. So, unfortunately, in our love lives, it is déjà vu all over again. And if you have been severely abandoned in your childhood, unfortunately, you're headed for a love life with massive amounts of just really excruciating abandonment issues going on. I wish it wasn't so. Trust me, I wish it wasn't so. What inspired this video is I got an email from a gal, I'm going to call her Katie, from the UK, and with her permission she's asked me to respond to some questions about her life, and she's going to share about her life, and I'm going to give her a little feedback. Not everybody can afford therapy, and this seems like a pretty young gal and probably can't afford my Skype therapy fees, but I'm going to give her a little free therapy via the videos, and she's excited about that. So Katie writes, I found your videos on YouTube today, and I realized you're kind of an expert on this kind of thing. I've noticed more and more recently that I have some major issues that really need working out, as they tend to interfere with my social life and my relationships with people around me. I'll start by giving you the basic information. I've never met my father. He left before I was born, and I have no information to go to find him. Not even a first name. The only two people who did know who he was were my mother and grandmother, and both are now deceased. Wow, that is sad. Her father leaves and she doesn't even know his name, and there's nobody on the planet that she can find out this information. I wonder if somehow there's some technology that can be employed to search this fellow out and find, at least his name. I don't know. That's what I would do, is I would try to find the marital records. I don't know. But what a sad story. That's a difficult fact. And if we stopped right there with Katie's story, it would be enough abandonment to wreck your love life for the next 40 years. But unfortunately, she goes on with a lot more abandonment stories. The truth is, not all love lives are created equal. If you have severe abandonment like Katie here, you're going to struggle a lot, and it's going to be really painful, and it's going to be difficult for you. Katie goes on, I was taken away from my mother when I was 4, abandonment, which I found out 3 years ago because she had a drug problem and wasn't willing to get help in order to keep me. I went into foster care for a year before my grandmother gained custody. My mother then died when I was 9, and my grandmother died when I was 11. This kid can't get a break. That is a very, very, very hard set of facts. If somebody were to come to me at 22 years old and give me a prognostication of my love life, my future, with this set of facts. Oh man, somebody like this is going to be abandoned over and over again in just the most wicked ways possible. She goes on. My uncle was given custody of me, but after a year, he and his wife decided they couldn't care for me anymore, so I was put into foster care again. First on a weekend basis, and then permanently after about 2 years. Then the woman I was living with also decided she couldn't look after me either, so I went to live with a friend whose mother gained guardianship over me. I was very volatile at this point. I self-harmed frequently and attempted suicide. Eventually, she also said she could not care for me anymore as I was endangering her children. Therefore, I stayed with a friend from college until I could find a place for myself. I just want to cry. That is just the most awful. I thought I had abandonment issues. This woman, it's just terrible. After that, I realized I had some extreme trust issues. You think? I met a man whom I started dating and moved in shortly, and despite living together, I still couldn't trust him. This went on for 2 years until I realized we weren't well suited, but I stayed with him for another 2 years regardless, mostly, I think, due to the fact that I was scared to leave that security of his family, as his family and I got along really well, and I almost saw them as my own family. We split nearly 2 years ago, but I still keep in touch with his family and regularly go to dinner with them. So sometimes we pick what I call our anti-types, and the anti-type is somebody who really isn't your type. They're the complete opposite, and we tend not to be well suited. There isn't intense chemistry with these people. So this first fellow seemed like a safe, non-reactive, non-needy, non-abandonment driven fellow, and she was there for the security and the family, even though they weren't a good match. So she didn't get run over by a truck there. Maybe this fellow felt some pain over it, but she didn't. Katie didn't. So the anti-type, in my opinion, really only constitutes maybe 5% of relationships. It's not all that common, but it does happen. Most of us pick our types, people we have fiery chemistry with. Now, she writes, I am in a relationship with a wonderful man who treats me well and cares for me a great deal. The problem is that we are in a long-distance relationship, and with my existing trust issues and the fact that we had to start long distance after only a month of knowing each other, it makes it extremely hard. The majority of the time when we are apart, I'm consumed with the ideas that he is with somebody else and that he doesn't really care for me. I know I am ruining this relationship with my mistrust, but I have no idea what to do about it. God bless Katie. I related to this. I've got some pretty steep abandonment issues. And a million years ago, when I was in college and dating my future wife, she was at Purdue University and I was at Taylor University, and she was very busy. She was working and going to school, and she was real involved in a church and with family. And I had such horrible abandonment issues, I could barely function. I became depressed. We started both at Taylor University, and then her parents moved her over to Purdue, and I was crushed. I was devastated. There was a girl who looked like her, and when I saw her walking on the campus, I about went into a fetal position and started to cry. very difficult time. I was supposed to be the RA, the one of the guys in charge of running the dormitory wing, and I was so depressed I barely functioned. I was terrible at that. So I understand long distance relationships. It was very painful, especially when you don't understand that you have abandonment issues and you just call it depression. So you're consumed with the ideas that he is with somebody else and he doesn't really care. So you don't know what to do. Well, I wonder what Katie's doing. There's internal spiraling and then there's external acting out. If she's calling him and Skyping him and texting him all kinds of irrational accusations and aggressions, then this relationship isn't going to last super long. The best thing you can do, Katie, is to download my book on abandonment issues, because it goes into great detail about somebody like you. The YouTube videos are nice because they introduce you to the concept, but you really need to get the book to read through. I'm not self-promoting here. I'm telling you, if you have day-to-day brutal, painful, spiraling, awful abandonment issues that are crippling you and possibly destroying your relationship, managing abandonment issues through recovery, that book, I think it's the best thing available to read and to really digest, to build yourself a recovery process that can get those managed and under control. Now, I also want to say you're probably in danger. You're not going to, unfortunately, you're not going to live happily ever after, Katie. I'm sorry. This fellow very well could be up to no good. You're going to pick guys who are up to no good. You're going to pick cheaters. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, and maybe this fellow isn't. Maybe this fellow's on the up and up, and you're just projecting onto him your deep-seated abandonment issues and chasing him away from you. I can't tell you who he is. I don't know him. I know that eventually it all comes out in the wash. You'll eventually figure out who he is. But if you don't have no evidence that he's dirty, assume he's clean. And stop. Read the book, watch the videos, and get some management over your reactions, because no fella who's innocent likes being called, guilty and sentenced and hung even though he's guilty. And you're going to look irrational, you're going to look a little crazy, and he's going to want to get rid of the crazy chick if this persists. So digest that book. For others of you out there who can afford Skype therapy, it helps so much for me to do a family tree, gather the background. I can do this in 2 sessions, and then we do a feedback session. It helps you understand why you picked who you picked, what abandonment issues are, what are the issues in your family of origin, what are the issues in your partner's family of origin. It's very mind-blowing, very helpful, very powerful. So if you can afford that, do that as well. And if you can't afford my fees, I've got 9 therapists who all see clients for lesser that I've trained. So Katie writes, I was wondering if there's any advice that you could give me regarding these issues and tell me exactly where my problem lies. Sweetheart, your problem lies that you were abandoned 1,000,000 times by your mother, your father, your grandmother, your uncle, the system, your friend's mother, just everybody abandoned you. And she says, I know you're a busy man, but I'd be glad for any advice. I'm not big on advice. I'm big on feedback, and you have brutally serious abandonment issues. And after you read my book, I also want to recommend Susan Anderson's book. It's called The Journey from Abandonment to Healing. Read both of those books. It'll cost you, less than $25 for both books total. And then watch my videos on abandonment and watch other videos out there on abandonment issues and see if you can locate some low-cost therapy where you can go in and process these issues. So, Katie, God bless you. Life is hard. Unfortunately, we develop psychological defense, but be careful. I encourage people to have what I call a recovery brand of courtship. And that is you move into relationships slowly and you know who that person is. Katie, if you really understood family of origin issues, you know that you're going to be attracted to men who very much so are all about abandoning or have the capacity to abandon. So be careful and take it slow and get into therapy with this fellow, even long distance. Have him read the books. Have him watch the videos and see if he's an open-minded, open-hearted fellow who can also do work. Because guess what? He's got just as many issues as you do. He has to be equally as unhealthy as you. That's an immutable law of nature. So let me know how things go, Katie. Care about you, and sorry that you're having to go through this. So if you haven't joined our YouTube channel, do so. We're up to about 2,700 now on our YouTube channel. Visit our website. We do have 6 books, not just the book on abandonment issues. We've got a really good book on shame, a really good book on affair recovery, a book on counterdependency for men, a book on marital issues. Also, if you're looking for lower cost therapy, we have another therapist joining our practice. Her name is Renda, and she's joining our practice from Alabama. And you can engage her services for, I think, $85, I think is where she's going to start. So thank you for watching today, and God bless. Bye-bye.